Hi, welcome back to Twin Terror. I'm Gary, and this, of course, is not David. So, the last time I recorded was on Tuesday night, and I had a bit of a cough, and I was afraid that I was going to fall victim to my wife's flu. Well, that flu landed in a big way. This is the best I've felt in the last 3 days. It really kicked our butts. So thank you all to you for your kind words and your thoughtful suggestions on how to treat my cough and stuff. But this thing landed as a full blown flu. I told my wife I didn't want anything from Japan. She decided that she needed to bring something home for me, and that's what it was. Fortunately, or ironically, our two daughters who went with her are perfectly fine, of course, and they're off at school down in San Diego and in Long Beach. So Laura and I got stuck just trying to recover. It's you get the whole thing: fever, body aches, coughing, runny nose. It was miserable. Laura had nausea on top of all of that, so it's just been not a lot of fun the last couple of days. But there's been a lot going on. Uh, One of the things that struck me that I wanted to read on was the tariffs. Right now, the United States and China are in a real pissing match on these tariffs. Trump's paused the tariffs. I think his hold on a second. Sorry, I had a cough. His inner circle has kind of gotten to him and said, "Hey, calm down with the tariffs. You're killing the stock market here." And so Trump's basically trying to spin this as, "Oh, well, there's 75 countries now that want to renegotiate their tariffs, right? So this will be a big victory." And he may get some concessions, I suppose, which is great, I guess. Um, but right now, China's like, hell no, we ain't doing this. So I want to take a look at the energy around China and the U.S. and how that's going to go. And then I want to take a little bit of a detour because, Trump's also, they're going to do a little investigation into his tweeting, or his truthing, I guess, as you call it, where he was right before he paused the tariffs. He's saying, "Oh, this is a great time to buy stock." And people are asking, excuse me, people are asking, you know, um, is this some sort of giving insider information, where he's in cahoots with a bunch of oligarchs to kind of give him a heads up when he's going to enact the tariffs and when he's going to stop the tariffs so that they can enrich themselves on the violent market swings that come from such announcements. And I'm not a conspiracy theorist, but I can totally see how this market manipulation can occur with something like this. So we'll take a look at that as well. So let's start first with what's the energy between the United States and China with these tariffs, and we'll go from there. Entertainment purposes only. Foundation of the reading is the Ten of Pentacles. Okay, this is very clear. Trump's thinking about his legacy. This is the legacy card. Trump is all about, he wants to be the guy that breaks the back. He was quoted as saying he doesn't blame China. He blames the people that held the Oval Office before him. Of course, he is one of those people. But, this is U.S. corporations happily sending all their manufacturing out to Asia and these other countries where there's low costs of labor, and it's cheaper to have something manufactured in China, for example, put it on a container ship and sail it over here. It's still cheaper. But these are U.S. corporations made these decisions. It's not the presidents of the United States didn't say, you're going to move all the manufacturing out. Challenge is the King of Wands. So he's trying to do too much. He's trying to take credit for everything, and he's trying to kind of do all this activity all at once. He probably has the record for most executive orders issued by a president in the first 3 months of office. So I think that's the challenge here is he's got too much on his plate as far as now he's got to try and negotiate all 90 or 75 or whatever countries in the next 90 days. So we'll see. So everything's been paused and put on hold. Underneath it is the magician. He's going to try and work his old Trumpian magic there and manifest results. He's trying to get a Nobel Peace Prize and cement his legacy in as many ways as he can. He's already got it as the first, felony convicted president and first 2 times impeached president. But, apparently he wants to go for more of the record books. In the past, we had the high priestess, keeper of secrets. So just, he had his agenda on what he was going to do with this. Current situation is the Six of Pentacles. He wants big concessions for small givebacks, if you will. If you do this for me, I'll give you this, but then I get all this. Once again, it's kind of tied to his legacy. He's, in these foreign countries, they pay him peanuts, but the corporations make big dollars. The problem is that with these tariffs, it's not the foreign corporations that are paying the price. It's the U.S. import-export companies that pay the price. Now, where the foreign corporations will pay the price is that if they cannot produce these goods and sell them elsewhere, they're going to have to throttle back production in their factories, and that could lead to layoffs in these other countries. Overarching energy is the Ten of Wands. It's just the amount of effort that is being used to try and force concessions on tariffs. It's not necessarily a wise thing, but he is going to grab as much of this as he can. He's going to try and drag it to the finish line. Lesson to be learned is the Queen of Swords. The problem is like I was ranting a little bit earlier, this isn't a presidential problem. This was U.S. corporations going after quarterly profits. Period. Full stop. This had nothing. This wasn't a political decision. This was a corporate decision. We've shifted away from manufacturing towards this more service-oriented or tech-oriented. It's kind of that next level up. Unfortunately, there's a lot of MAGA that couldn't make that leap, and they were quite happy with those manufacturing jobs that went away, and they were left behind, and they became angry, and they've been supporting Trump ever since because he's going to bring back manufacturing jobs. The problem is the people that are voting for him are, a great big block of them are old, and they're not going to be, they're not going to the workforce in a manufacturing environment. It's going to be potentially young people. And the fact of the matter is he's doing everything on an executive order. So in 4 years, when there's a new president, there's no guarantee that those tariffs are going to remain in place. Outcome is the Fool. We're on a new journey. We're on a new path. It's funny because the Ten of Pentacles is the end of a cycle. The Fool is the beginning of a cycle. We're on a new journey. We're on uncharted course. We could go right off the cliff. So we'll see. So that's more of a U.S. focused reading, right? So it's so we'll let's look at China now. They've got a big population, and they feed that population on these manufacturing jobs. People get funny when you take their livelihood away from them, right? You start messing with people's money and their livelihood, they get mad. China's, I'm not saying they're right or they're wrong. I just understand where they're coming from. You know, we made agreements with them. Said, hey, we'll send these jobs over, all this manufacturing work over to you, and you do it, and we'll buy it from you. And they were happy to oblige, and they built all these factories and stuff. And now the U.S. is blaming them for taking all our jobs. I mean, what the actual F, guys? So how's China feeling about this whole thing? What do we need to know about China? Okay. All right, so that was the underneath card. So the magician. Okay, so this can be one of a couple things you can interpret. They're watching Trump trying to work his Trumpian magic. Or they may have their own magic tricks that they can bring up. Challenge is the Ace of Cups. They're pissed about this. You're blaming us for helping you, because you came to us. You came to us for this stuff, and we had an agreement. Underneath it, Eight of Pentacles. We've been working hard producing all this stuff for you. In the past, there you go. I saw that card sort of peek out. In the past, I got the Devil card. Their relationship with Trump has not been positive, obviously. Trump blames China for a lot. And, China has its set of issues. I'm not going to argue that. They have a real problem, or they don't think they have a problem. Intellectual property rights don't mean much to them. They'll take a look at someone's intellectual property and they'll just copy it or outright stake it, and they may modify it and change it a little bit, but basically they are taking intellectual property and profiting from it, and that's one of the biggest issues that the United States and other countries would have with them. Current energy is the victory. So that's interesting too. So basically, they're telling the United States, we're not going to let you win. This could be China showing the world that, hey, we're going to stick up to the United States, or observing Trump declaring victory or not wanting Trump to have victory. Let's see how this keeps going. Overarching energy is the Fool. Yeah, so this is really the tariffs. It's mostly about China. I mean, I'm getting so many of the same cards here. This was the outcome for the United States. This is the overarching energy for China. They're on a new journey as well, and they could go off the cliff too. All the other countries are like, oh, well, we'll negotiate. They're kind of playing, not that they're playing ball with Trump, but they know how to work Trump. China, on the other hand, is like, no, we're not going to bow to this. The guy's an idiot. We're not going to bow to him. We're going to stand tall, and we're going to be in there for the fight. Lesson to be learned is the Empress. All the abundance, all the wealth, all of the good things from this. Working together generally helps you achieve that kind of bountiful, that plentiful harvest, if you will. Right now, we're fighting, and it could be China's looking at this saying, you are threatening our ability to supply food and prosperity to our nation and to our people. That's probably what that is. The outcome is Ace of Wands. They're going to start taking new actions. A new action is coming forth. They're definitely, speak softly but carry a big stick. Well, I don't know if they speak quite so softly, but they're definitely going to carry a big stick. They're not going to back down. That's the feeling I'm getting from this, is that the tariffs are like, I think the U.S.'s tariffs on China is like 134%, and China's on the U.S. is now 125%. This is a lose-lose prospect here, guys. All right, so let's pivot on this, and let's look at is there going to be are they going to find anything in the investigation into Trump? Are they going to find that people in his inner circle knew the timing of these tariffs when they're going into effect, when they were going to be pulled back, and took advantage of that? So basically insider trading. I heard somewhere that Marjorie Taylor Green had moved into like, I don't know if it was bonds or T-bills. It basically moved out of equity and into cash right before the tariffs were announced, and that was causing some suspicion. I have not verified that. Maybe I should do that. Stand by. Okay, so here's a couple things. Marjorie Taylor Green bought treasuries ahead of market crash, and then she bought up tech and apparel shares right before Trump paused his tariffs. She must be an amazing investor, or she had a little help. So let's take a look at that. Let's focus just on Marjorie Taylor Green, because she is such a personality. So what did Marjorie Taylor Green have a little help with her investing portfolio strategy? Well, if you ask the right question, you get the right answer, but we keep our secrets here. So if they're going to do an investigation, they just need to sort of ask the right questions of the right people. Challenge is the Page of Cups. You might get some crazy answers. It's the whole... It's so interesting. She's such a MAGA, ultra MAGA, but all of a sudden she's become this investment guru. So the Page of Cups is a challenge. It's like, people are going to look at her and say, I don't think she's got the wisdom to time the market quite so well with her stock purchases. Underneath it, the Ace of Cups. It's strong emotions. I think there's probably some outrage, given the articles I've been seeing. There's going to be some outrage. There's going to be some pushback, and I imagine there is an investigation that's going to be held about this. In the past, you've got the Ten of Cups, hopes, wishes. This is just the whole happy family. Hey, Trump's back in office. Prosperity is going to come to the United States. We're going to put all these tariffs in place, and it's going to bring manufacturing jobs back, and the middle class will be resurrected. The current energy is the Nine of Pentacles. With a little bit of knowledge, I can feather my nest here. She has definitely... she has great market timing. I guess that's the most I could say for entertainment purposes only. But there may be a little bit of nest feathering going on here. She's kind of gotten used to some of the finer things. Overarching energy is the Six of Pentacles. Those are the tariffs. We covered that under the United States and Trump's reading on the tariffs, where it's basically, you're giving small wages to the people working the factories, and the corporations are making the big money from it. In this case, a little bit of insider information could yield big profits. The lesson to be learned is the King of Cups. You just got to keep your emotions and keep cool and don't panic, and, be the master of your emotions. Okay, I don't know what that means exactly. Lesson to be learned, or the outcome is the Eight of Wands. So what this could be is that there is going to be an investigation going on. Let's not let our emotions get the best of us. I know there's a lot of outrage, but we need to keep control of our emotions, and let's begin this investigation. Let's take some action. So that's what I'm getting from that, is that there's a strong feeling that she might have been benefiting from insider information, and that an investigation will be looking into it. What will the investigation find? Let's just do a little four-carder on that. What will the investigation find? If they look into Marjorie Taylor Green and her impeccable timing of the stock market and securities market, what will they find? All right, put that there. My favorite one. What will they find? Okay, let's see. They'll Knight of Wands is the foundation. It's actions being taken, things being brought forth. There's that Ten of Cups. That, you know, actions being okay. So the Ten of Cups, you know, it's the happy family. Everyone's joyous about what's been going on. Maybe there was a little too much joy. Let's not be biased, Gary. Let's see what the other two are. Page of Cups, a lot of the same cards. So either I need to shuffle better, or they're definitely trying to send a message. Okay, so you got the Page of Cups. You've got that whole crazy MAGA thing. Ace of Wands, a new action being brought forth, and they got the happy family, the Ten of Cups, and underneath it is the High Priestess. I think what this is they're gonna bring new actions forth to look at this prosperity that her family has gotten. You know, just just like everything seems just a little too perfect, and it's a little crazy. It doesn't make sense. You know, we're gonna need to look into this a lot more closely, and if they ask the right questions, they're gonna get to the bottom of this. Okay. So, yeah. Marjorie Taylor Green might have benefited in the short run, but she may not benefit in the long run from this. I hope to goodness, if there were people taking advantage of this and had insider information, that they are held accountable for that. All right, that's what I've got for you today. Thank you so much for watching. Dave and I, maybe we'll do some readings tonight. I'll have to reach out to him. I'm feeling a lot better. This is the most human I've felt since Tuesday night. So I thank you all so much for hanging in there with me and not David. And if you like these videos, give us a thumbs up, subscribe. We put out a new video every night at midnight. Leave a comment. I read them all and respond to many. And we also give shout outs here too. Now, there's a couple people on my list here, and I've got a whole bunch more on my phone. So some of the people that I'd like to acknowledge for their contribution in the comment sections. Rogers PM, he wanted to get a shout out. He was not mentioned on Romper Room, so hi Rogers PM, and your card is the Wheel of Fortune. Anything can happen from this point forward, right? We've got Robin, who was not mentioned on Romper Room. You know, it's a big club. I kind of wonder if they just had like the same 5 names of kids, and the rest of us just got left out. So Robin, I'm sorry you got left out. Let's go grab our wands. Everyone in the not mentioned in Romper Room, let's go grab our wands and go talk to the local franchise on why you broke the hearts of all these kids by not calling out their name, right? Oh, and then a shout out for Chris Mann, Krissmann, who was not called out in Romper Room, but I believe what they said was they were on the actual Captain Kangaroo show, which I think is so cool. So that's better than getting a name call on Romper Room. So for Chrisman, you got the 5 of Swords. You won that one. You won that battle. And then a shout out to Crimson Anna. Hi, Crimson Anna. And we're pulling a card for you as well. Queen of Cups. Keep those emotions in check. And then let's see, a pair of Nancys, Nancy Robbins and Nancy Shearer, who both said within like one comment of each other how they weren't called out on Romper Room. And for the life of me, names like Lisa, I know there was some Lisas that were not called out on romper room. And Nancy's, how in the world did they miss Lisa's and Nancy's, right? So for all the Lisas and Nancy's out there, you've got the Seven of Pentacles. That's okay. You've got a whole bunch more things of value out there to give to the rest of us, right? And then finally, I'd like to give a shout out to Petra. She was not called out on romper room as well, because she said, what are the odds that the name Petra is going to get called out on romper room? And I got to give Petra credit for that. There was no chance. So you got the Seven of Wands. You defend yourself, Petra. All right, folks. Thank you so much for watching. I totally appreciate it. And we'll catch you next time. Take care. Bye. Did you stick around? Because I forgot to give you the secret card. Secret card today is the Two of Pentacles. It's all about balance. And man, when you got the flu, it's all about balance. Take care of yourself as best you can. Now, I'm going to know if you watch to the end, because if I start getting comments about there was no secret card, then it's like, I know you didn't stick around to the end. So thanks for sticking around to the end. Take care. Bye.